Hi all and welcome back. We'll start our next session for the day, which is from Hyderabad chapter on emotionally intelligent leadership towards transformation by Divya uh, Thiagarajan, and she's an agile coach at Micron Technology. Before starting on to the session, I would like to thank our founding sponsor, Innovation Roots. It is a leading consulting and training service provider helping organizations to achieve business agility and beyond. It is one of the leaders and pioneers of niche publishing services and well known for content collaboration with global thought leaders, authors, and creators. For more information, visit www.innovationroots.com. I would also like to thank our sponsor Agile, which is a product offering from Tata Consultancy Services Limited. It is a purely cloud-based enterprise agile planning tool along with DevOps capabilities. Enterprise can use Agile to adopt agile practices or scale across multiple Scrum and Kanban teams using enterprise scaling frameworks such as SAFe, Discipline, Agile, Less, and more. You can try out Gile for up to 20 users for 30 days by signing up at gile.io or reach out to us for any inquiries or exclusive product demo. Check out the Gile page on Agile Network India website for more information. Here are some quick do's and don'ts for the participants. Join the event 5 minutes before the start time. Use high quality speakers or headphones for better sound quality. Please keep your microphones muted and videos disabled as this may cause disturbance and bandwidth issue. Questions will be taken via the chat box. Please enter questions in the chat box. At the end of the session, the facilitator or the moderator will help and read out a few questions to the speaker as per the time available. Please fill in the feedback forms after the event to help us understand more about the event management. And we appreciate your cooperation. Without much making further delay, I would like to call upon Divya on a microphone and camera.
Hey, thank you, Nisha. Thanks for the introduction.
Over to you.
Thank you. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. How are you all doing? Okay, here I go. Okay. So as you have already seen the session topic today, I would be sharing some insights on emotionally intelligent leadership, and how we can approach it as a transformation and how it can actually complement any transformation that is going on the organization. So before we start, like to quickly introduce myself. So I'm Divya. I'm currently working with Micron Technology as an agile coach. I have 15 plus experience in automotive, telecom, insurance, and semiconductor industries. And I'm a passionate agile coach, trainer, and consultant. I got fascinated by the coaching world, and I'm currently on a mission to positively impact 10,000 individuals by 2030 through coaching. So that's about me. Without waiting further, let's get into the learning outcomes of the session. Okay, yeah. So today we would learn how why we need to shift our focuses from process transformation to people transformation. We'll also learn about who an emotional intelligent leader actually is, and we'll also see how EI leaders, which is emotional intelligent leaders, can positively impact the organization culture. And we'll also uh, deal the further information on how to get started with this journey. Okay, so that's about the learning outcomes. So quickly, I'll show you something which is quite interesting. So McKinsey did a survey last year, and they saw the amount of digitalization, or digital transformations that happen across several companies, and they found that the rate at which the companies digitize themselves were very high after COVID happened. They still had an option before COVID, but it probably the rate at which they turned digitalized was more seen after COVID. That's because COVID just showed them that there is just one way to go ahead, and that is that only when you digitize yourself you would be still in the market. So that's when we started. A lot of people started going into the digitized journey. And another thing. Of course, this is also to do with COVID, but I'm just bringing in examples so you can understand. So a lot of organization, around 80% of organizations did not have a remote work program before COVID, because there were a lot of limiting beliefs, behavior, or you can even call it culture, uh, that actually restricted remote work programs before COVID. But then after COVID happened, everybody had to do that at some point or other, because that's the only way they could keep their businesses growing, right? And most of the transformations, be it agile, DevOps, or digital, everything, there's always something that comes into every transformation, which is culture. Culture change impacts a lot of transformations. Rather, it's very much evident and very, very important factor for any transformation, for that matter. In fact, I would say that's the most biggest factor for any transformation. Once you put that culture change or the mindset change in place, everything follows automatically. You don't have to really do anything other than that. Just put on some tools and applications to complement it. But the way organizations have been doing is completely in the reverse order. They give emphasis on the tools, applications, processes, automations, but if they fail to address the culture or mindset, then the transformation is definitely going to be limiting at one point of time. So we will see how emotional intelligent transformation can have an impact on the organization culture. That way we would see how transformations can be more empowered through this approach. Yeah. So before we talk about culture, I keep telling this term culture, culture. So let's have a common understanding of what culture is. So this is a dictionary definition of culture. So culture is an umbrella term that combines the social behavior, norms. It could also do to do with knowledge, belief, customs, laws, habits. It could be anything, right? And the beautiful aspect of any organization is culture is formed whether you plan for it or not, right? And the best way to make the best culture, that would definitely support your strategy, is to ensure you plan or create a culture that works best for your strategy. Because if culture is not formed the way you plan, it's going to eat your strategy, just like how this Pac-Man is doing. So all the organizations are focusing more on the strategy to become leaders in their own industries. But all these strategies will fall in place once you have the right culture that you really want to inculcate within. Okay, so this is about the culture, and let's see some interesting um, thoughts from you. So, what do effective leaders do according to you? You can put your thoughts in the chat box. Again, there is no right or wrong answers. It's just perspectives that we are sharing. So please be open about it. What, according to you, do effective leaders do? Walk the talk. Yep. Encourage, nurture people. Nice. Develop potential. Great. Lead by example. Ear to hear. Wow, ear to hear. I really like that. Leaders create leaders. Wow, collaborate. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You know, surprisingly, none of you told about making profits, strategy, right? It's all about something other than that, correct? And who is your leadership role model, if I could ask you? Do you have any leadership role model? Modi, okay. Modi, okay. Nandan, Ratan Tata, yeah. Yeah, yeah, true. Yeah, there are so many leaders out there. Yeah, yeah, Pitaya, Sri Ravi Shankar. Wow. Yeah, great people. Yeah. And if you just ask this question to you, right? Like, how and why do they inspire you? Everything you have to think about them, it's always to do about emotional intelligence. Like a lot of people said, right? Helping people, leading, walk the talk, motivate, empathy. It's everything is there is a part of emotional intelligence. Yeah, sharing wisdom. Yeah. Yeah, it's nothing about technical excellence. It's not about their strategies to make their companies work better or fare better in the market. It's not about their successful products. It's all the impact that they do with themselves is about how they are actually emotionally intelligent, you know. So each and every successful leader has been emotional intelligent. It's just that we have not probably understood or identified that before. So my thought is all the effective leaders are actually emotionally intelligent. And here is what an emotional intelligent leader is made of. So these five aspects are very important part of being an emotional intelligent leader. And when you talk about emotional intelligence, the first thing that we would be starting is the self awareness. So when I say self awareness, what I mean is, we have a connection to our inner voice. Like we know what is the emotion that that person is going through, and why we are going through, right? Because only when we start understanding what is the emotion that we are going through and understand why we are going through, we will always try to see, okay, so this is what happened. Maybe you get angry at certain eh, situations. Why that made me angry? Okay, maybe this is what that triggered me, right? And what is wrong in that? Like, you just try to think about, process that emotions. So the first step to being an emotional intelligent leader is to know what is that you're feeling, and why is um, that you are trying to feel that way. And also lot and the next one is about self regulation. So when I say self regulation, it's more to do about handling your distressing emotions in an effective way that doesn't get in your way of doing, right? So sometimes we do undergo through a lot of difficult situations, maybe a lot of difficult people as well. Sometimes it is really very important to understand how to tune our expressions as per the situation. So a lot of people say like, hey, I'm a very emotional person, like, I cannot, I just like, when I just feel it, I just show it on my face, or like I just speak it out. What's wrong in that? Well, if that's something that is coming in your way of your doing, then you are being your impediment itself, right? So if you want to achieve something, you have to be able to put it in a way that is more acceptable, and it actually aligns your actions with what you really want to do. That's where self regulation is. It's nothing to do with controlling. It's just to identify how well we can express the emotion that whatever you have gone through, and how well you can push it through people and communicate to others, so others understand what needs to be done. Well, before going into motivation, I'll probably go into empathy, right? So, empathy, in simple terms, I would say it means knowing what someone else is feeling within him, right? Knowing what somebody else is going through, right? Let's say if there is a leader who has zero empathy, how will the team feel? Like, have you ever been, or have you seen anyone who has zero empathy? How have you felt being with that leader? Yeah, you can pour your thoughts in the chat box. Okay. Okay, yeah, makes the team demotivated, right? Very bad. Yeah, want to leave, just kind of, yeah. Yep. Yeah, it's a very sad story, in fact, right? So what happens when the leader is having zero empathy? Yeah, no loyalty. Yeah. Empathy means knowing the needs through the expressions of the people. Yeah. Yeah. So when you see a person with zero empathy, you cannot be with that person, because you no longer feel a connection between that person and you, and it is obvious that you're not going to work towards the same goal. You're going to go through different directions, like go off tracks, right? So as an emotional intelligent leader, your primary goal is to make sure that people understand what the vision is and how you take the people towards that vision, right? So that itself fails when you do not have any empathy. And also social skills. So social skills are really very important to understand, to communicate, to collaborate, to be open to facing conflicts, right? So as a leader, you would be seeing a lot of conflicts. There will be conflict of values, there will be disagreements, there will be a lot of things as we go through. But then as a leader, you're responsible to understand that you are you're the best person to resolve any conflicts that occurs on the ground, because that is your opportunity to let people know what is the right priority and what is not. And at the same way, a person with a very good social skill is also open to hear bad news, as well as they are very comfortable hearing good news. I can see a lot of people, lot of leaders actually, they are not very comfortable hearing a bad news, like uh, and that's also one of the reasons why certain leaders go into I would say a commanding mode or a directing mode, and that too in a not so self-regulated manner, right? So that also impacts. So when you actually cut off the collaboration, you also cut off the feedback from them. So like when I say feedback, you cut off the feedback of how they are really thinking about something, right? So when you do not know what is the impact of your own decisions happening on the team, that's when the team lacks motivation to go through, right? So now coming back to motivation. So motivation is needed to perform work, right? So it's not just needed to perform basic work. If you have want somebody to do high quality work, that person has to be really motivated, right? So as a leader, you have to instill an environment that can motivate each and everyone to consistently work towards their goals. And also uh, how you do it is by establishing an healthy emotional connection to the results and as well as the team members, right? So these are the various aspects of emotionally intelligent leader as per Daniel Goleman. And he feels that emotional intelligent leader can bring great results to any organizations they are associated with, and we will see how it impacts the organization. Well, we talked about the aspects of emotional intelligent leaders, and we'll also now see how they are related to organization culture. So we believe emotional intelligent leaders foster a safe environment. And to be very clear, I'm putting it forward as what a safe environment is like. So the feeling of to hear and to be heard, and there's also has to be a place where they can take calculated risks. They can also fail, right? So failing is sometimes seen as major mistakes. A lot of reprimandation has happened in a lot of companies, but when failures are seen as learnings, I think it also increases the accountability and the team moral of every team that is part of it. So when we actually have a safe environment where we have accountability, collective accountability, healthy collaboration, and where failures are seen as learning. And also, when you know that as a team member, you still have a say in any of the decisions that the organization makes. It's not just the leader makes decision for you. It's that your opinion also matters, your voice also matters. So that's how a safe environment is created, right? And also emotionally intelligent leaders know how to actually use emotions to drive the organization forward. So when I say that, it's very easy for us to see people undergoing a lot of difficult scenarios, undergoing a lot of different emotions. Maybe there is a person who has gone through personal stress, and maybe he's not really able to take up much work, right? So that way the leader has to be able to understand how he can positively use that emotion and ensure much more um, uh, engagement from the employee to drive the organization forward. The same way, it's not just the negative emotions or the positive, it's not just the negative emotions, it's also to do about multiple um, positive emotions. We also need to understand how we can use the emotions to drive the organization forward by, let's say there's an enthusiastic person, let's say there's a person who really he's very self motivated, who wants to do the best for the company. You always have to keep the bar set high so that he remains motivated. Like if you keep giving him normal tasks, he's bound to get demotivated at one point of time. So this is how you actually understand how to use their own emotions in order to achieve what is the goal that you are working for within the organization, right? And yeah, so this is a very great saying I found. I just wanted to put it here. So all the great leaders know there is a lot power in their emotions, so they make sure to learn how to identify, understand, and manage them, and also go ahead to teach those they lead how to do the same. So yeah, so like we said, identification starts is the first step, and identification can happen only when you are self-aware. And once you understand what is the kind of emotions that you're going through, you will know how to self regulate yourself. So self awareness is the first step, self regulation is the next one, and then you can go about developing your motivation, empathy, and your social skills. But to start with, these are the two things that every emotional intelligent leader would require. Okay. So we talked about what are the key aspects of emotional intelligent leader, what culture is, how emotional intelligent leader can help in fostering a safe environment. Then there are also some myths that is going around the globe, like hey, like yeah, let's get started with the first one. Like they feel that leadership style depends on the characteristic of the person. So let's say there's a person who's a very assertive. We feel that he follows an assertive leadership style. And if there is a person who's kind of soft natured, we feel that he is a democratic leader. Rather, he allows the people to take decisions for the team always. In fact, this is one of the biggest myth everybody has. So leadership style has nothing to do with personal characteristics of the person. In fact, the way it has to be looked at is taking the right choices at the right moment, depending on the situation and what needs to be done. So there are several leadership styles. We will go through that shortly. But before that, I just wanted to let you know that un, there is no dependency on my own personal trait or my own personal characteristics and my leadership style. So we should see leadership style as a choice rather than depending on our own characteristics. Um, yeah, we will discuss that only in detail. Yeah. And one another myth I hear from leaders is like, hey, Divya, I'm not an emotional person. If you want me to be empathetic before with people, it's kind of very difficult because I really don't understand why they are really feeling so bad about it. According to me, it's very small, but for them it looks like it's too much. But then I'm not an emotional person, so I kind of feel that I don't think I would be an emotional intelligent leader. That's not the case. Everybody is emotional, right? So we often try to confuse between emotion and expression of an emotion, right? So everybody has emotions. Like emotions are biological sensations happening in our body, just like how you feel thirst, how you feel hunger. It's how you the same way you feel emotion, but different people choose to express it in different ways, right? So you don't have to worry about expression. Just try to understand how you can how you can understand what the emotion is. Forget about the expression of the other person, just try to understand the other person's emotion, right? And that you'll do only through practice, right? And also one another myth is like, hey, okay, I'm now self aware. I know that these are the situations that I'll get angry, and okay, so now, so these situations, okay, I need to control my emotions. That's not the case. Emotions are very, very bad slaves. You know, emotions always try to master you, right? That's their basic survival instinct. When you start controlling them, it is like um, switching on a pressure cooker, putting the weight over it, and then allowing it to burn. What would happen? One fine, after some time, it's going to blow up. So that's what happens if emotions are controlled, right? So it's very human, it's very natural for us to go through difficult situations, difficult emotions. Sometimes we are not expressing in the way, uh, like, not in a self regulated way. It's okay. It's okay. We are all human at the end of the day. But what we have to understand is, just try to be aware what are the things that you are losing track with. How can you better deal with that situations? So you just have to flow with your emotions. Try to understand. It's like, emotions needing to be controlled is like, yeah, we can do even a small exercise after this session, if time permits. I'll show you how emotions control does not work in real time. Yeah, the next one is, okay, so we had the session today, emotional intelligent leadership, and this is going to be the value factor for my organization. Okay, now I'm going to start emotional intelligence right away now, 24/7. I'm going to be emotional intelligent. This is not going to happen. I'm telling you before you even start. So we should take away this all or nothing approach from our mindset, right? So people either want to do everything perfectly or do nothing out of it. So that's not going to happen in emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is a journey that you have to take. Like I said, you will have to start with self awareness, but then as days go on, you just start understanding yourself better. You're not even into self regulation at that point of time. And think about self regulation. Self regulation is next step. And think about using the emotions at that particular situation based on the need, pushing through, and what you need, that's going to be the nirvana of emotional intelligence. So that's going to take some time. So beware. Even if you learn emotional intelligence, even if you start practicing it, you're not going to be 24/7 successful. There are going to be moments which is going to let you down. That's okay. So don't worry about that. The next one is one size fits all approach. This also talks about, this is also directly dealing with the first one, like, where I see, like, okay, so this person is, so this is more towards the person that we are dealing with. So I have three team members, let's say, and one team member is highly motivated, and another team member is, um, like, let's say, he's not that motivated, his engagement is very low, he just does his activities and not. So I have to be able to use a different, like, leadership style to this person versus the person one, right? So I think we should see leadership style as, a choice. When I say choice, let's say we are traveling from a place A to a place B, and today's world, if you were to travel in real time, what you would do is ideally go to Google Maps, do a map, right, and see what are the various routes, see how many duration it takes. Probably you'll also see what is the tolls, is there a tollway, or is there a road without toll. So based on that, you will take a choice, right? So same way, you will have to take a choice based on the situation, based on the person, based on what you really want to really achieve. Your leadership style should change. And yeah, how to change and what are the leadership styles? Let's go about and see that. Oh yeah, so like I said, yeah, to get started is, two factors to remember is leadership is a strategic choice. Yeah, it is a really strategic choice. You just have to make the best use of your emotions, your team members' emotions, and then try to align them on one single path to arrive at your goal. right? So that's how the strategic choice is. And the success of effective leadership lies in the flexibility to switch between leadership styles between the situation, which is what I explained you the Google Map scenario right now. So we would have to be able to switch between leadership styles based on the situation rather than sticking on one size fits all approach, or something that you're really very comfortable about. So again, there are six leadership styles as defined by Daniel Goleman. So the first one is commanding leadership. It's just like telling people what needs to be done and when to do it. So commanding and pace setting is kind of very, I would say, it's very tricky. Like you'll have to do it in a way that it comes across as very soft, or I probably say in a manner that doesn't sound rude. So when you take this commanding or pace setting leadership, but commanding and pace setting leadership works for people who do not have much knowledge, who are clouded with lot of things, who do not know what is the next step to be taken. That's when it is going to help them, right? And affiliative leadership is through creating personal bonds and focusing on the harmony. It's more about creating a culture of um, harmony and agreement, uh, and believe that it would take towards the result that we are aspiring to. And democratic, I think it's self-explainable. It's more about participating, collaborating with team, working together, and seeking consensus, right? And coaching leadership, I'm sure you would have heard a lot about this. So coaching team members to develop themselves. And coaching, it's not mentoring. So coaching is different from mentoring. So coaching is not just giving a feedback like your mentor. Coaching is helping that person to realize what he can really do, or how he can become better. Through it could be through a conversation, it could be through an activity. So that's how it is. And visionary leadership, it's more on inspiring and motivating people to a vision. This is what we are really looking for, and how to go towards it. And pace setting is more about when there is a project, or when there is a deadline, or when there is a real crucial situation that involves some time factors, that has to be done within a stipulated time. So that's when you do pace setting. So for pace setting also, it's kind of a commanding or a directing style, but it's more to do with the pace of that particular situation. I've also got some good examples on how we can, yeah, how these things really differ from one another. So if you see visionary, the main idea of using this leadership style is to motivate people towards a vision. The way you say, it's like, no, come with me, right? So it boosts the self confidence, empathy, and being a change catalyst to the team. Coaching, you're trying to develop people for future. You're developing others, creating empathy and also self awareness by offering them an option. Affiliative is about creating harmony and building personal bonds, so which as people come first. um yeah, so democratic is about consensus and asking what their opinion or thoughts are. And pace setting is about setting high standards of performance. It's basically a drive to achieve some initiative. And also commanding is about immediate compliance and to drive achieves and yeah, it's to drive to self control and to achieve the initiative. So like I said, pace setting and commanding are very, very tricky. You have to be in a way, uh, you have to practice this in a way that they do not sound rude to people. That should not sound like you have zero empathy to people. So you really have to be really very careful in terms of pace, using pace setting and commanding like leadership styles. So these are the various styles, and depending on this goals, right? So if you see here, this is the major goals of using this leadership style. So depending on the situation, you could choose the right leadership style and go about it rather than sticking to one style. And remember, leadership, whatever you do in leadership, it's going to be a strategic choice that you're making, right? Yeah, so I think that's about the session today. Yep, I think we are ready to go for a Q&A session. I did see a lot of questions
Hi
that was
Divya.
yep.
Hi Divya. We have Manohar. Hi Manohar. Welcome. He'll be facilitating the Q&As for you.
Good. Let us take the questions from the team. Swatantra Jain, the question is from Swatantra Jain. How to bring more of self-awareness, specifically finding niche? Yeah, Divya.
So is yeah.
How to bring
So
more of self-awareness?
okay. Yeah, self-awareness, I think one generic thing everybody will tell you is to start doing a journal. But before even doing that, you could see a lot of things on how you are responding to people or responding to situations. A lot of situations, we either react, that's where we lose our self regulation. So you could easily identify what are the various things that that are making you to react rather than respond to it. You can pick those things, you can identify what the triggers are, and what is the I would say what is the trigger, what and what is that you are expecting the actual situation needs to be like. There is always some unrealistic expectations about any trigger. Like I say, like let me give you an example. So when I'm presenting here, if my daughter comes and says disturbs me, sometimes I have done this before, I'm no longer doing it, but then yeah, I'm not sure if I'm not going to do it in the future because I'm also not a perfect person. Right, so one day would so happen that I was presenting, and I told my daughter that, hey, I'm on a call and I'm not able to respond to you, but even then she went on persisting that, and I really lost my cool and then shouted at her. So that was a trigger. So the trigger was daughter kept on insisting me for a reply, and my unrealistic expectation is I was very conscious about not interrupting the office meeting. That is number one. That was my expectation. Another expectation was I could have very well handled the same situation by muting myself, telling people that, hey, I am needed at my home. So there are multiple ways that I could have handled that situation, but I didn't do it because I got really tensed and I reacted rather than responding. So like this, we have every little situation at home for us to serve as an example where we are reacting rather than responding. Just take it out, um, see what triggered that reaction from you, and what is the unrealistic expectation that you are, right? So every day is going to be like, my unrealistic expectation in this scenario was 100% uh, you know uh, attendance, or 100% my own involvement in the seminar, which is something could be unrealistic, right? So there could be a power cut, similar to my daughter's interruption. So that is something unrealistic that I had. So we could start with this way.
Very nice example. Yeah. Uh, and this question is from Amar. How can we improve emotional intelligence?
Yeah, like I said, so start from self awareness, right? So only when we know what we are doing the entire day, that increases our awareness, right? And then self regulate. I think that's those two things are more than enough for anybody to be intelligent, emotionally intelligent, right? Sometimes what happens is some of our values get are not met. Sometimes we feel anger for that, or sometimes we feel deprived for that. There are some valid reasons why we feel that way. And I would say there's a lot of emphasis on positive emotions or negative emotions. No, that's not the way, right? It's okay, you will fail, definitely you will fail. I am even failing after 8 months of practice. It's okay, it's just human, right? Understand, you cannot be 24 bar 7 emotionally intelligent. Start by being self aware. Understand what is your trigger points. Understand why you are feeling that way, right? When you start doing this question on why am I feeling this way, you will get to know a lot about yourself. And it was more or less going to be tying with a belief of you. I have sometimes found that that is the case, and lot of my beliefs is not something that I really believed in. It was just taught to me, right? So beliefs can change from one person to another, like how perceptions are. So when we have our own perception, we should also allow the other perception to have their own, right? And all we are trying to do is, hey, my perception is the only truth, let's not do it. So if you stop doing this and start being self-aware and self-regulate, I think that's the best way to be emotionally intelligent.
Yeah, well said. One more question from Prashant. Do you have any example or any public known leader who went the transformation, this transformation?
No, I'm not sure, but there are some great leaders. In fact, I'm a great fan of Simon Sinek, and you can also consider Stephen Covey. I think through his book, he has actually said a lot of things that he grew emotionally intelligent. So I can probably quote those two people.
Okay. This is my question. From the leadership styles you have mentioned, what do you prefer?
Like I said, there is no preference. You just have to do. I mean, choose what you really do according to the situation. Like I said, give the example of a Google map, right? So sometimes I will take a route A because it is helping me to reach the destination because of the time factor. But maybe I have to pay more. But when I am in a relaxed way and I don't have any time crunch to reach my destination, and the other road is really smooth, I'll probably choose the other one, right? So there is no preference as such.
Yeah, thank you, Divya. Are there recommended emotional intelligence styles for leaders in an org that has predominant culture versus control versus those who has competence culture arc? A similar way, yeah, maybe it's the same.
Yeah. In a predominant control culture, most dominant leadership styles used are commanding and pace setting. So maybe you will not be able to see much of the other styles because that's what the culture is predominant about. So I think that's something you could give it a thought. I'm not sure if I answered that question correctly.
Do you suggest any books on this topic?
Yes, so Emotional Intelligent Leaders by Daniel Goleman is a great book. And you can even suggest, you can even try Leaders Eat Last by Simon Sinek.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yep.
How will you help emotion in agile coaching? This question is from Naidu. Yes.
Wow, that's a great question. Agile coaching itself needs a lot of emotional. Being an agile coach itself, being a lot needs a lot of emotional intelligence, because that's a I keep joking about this job. That's a job nobody even likes you to see in that position. Sometimes, like when agile coaches are people who bring up a lot of changes, suggest a lot of changes, and a common human factor is resilience to change. Not everybody is very comfortable with change. So that's a role that is most disliked, I would say. Definitely you will have to identify emotions. Sometimes in my own experience, I have seen, like, I have seen people falling in my own eyes, but I had to make them fall, because only when they fall they will try to get the uh, actual result outcome out of it. So yeah, sometimes you have to be self regulated in agile transformations, because that is how you let people understand what is the real um, importance of having a process or a practice or the mindset itself.
Thanks a lot, Divya. It was a wonderful session and good to know about intelligence, emotional intelligence leadership.
Thank you,
Over to
Manohar.
you, Nisha.